A couple of months ago, we made a video explaining the history of Kosovo. So if you're a bit iffy on your Kosovar history, it's probably worth watching that video before continuing with this one. However, as we mentioned back then, ever since Kosovo unilaterally declared independence from Serbia in 2008, much effort has been dedicated to trying to normalise tensions between the two sides. However, in recent weeks, much of the progress that's been made between Serbia and Kosovo has started to unravel through a dispute over license plates. So let's explain how a fight, a genuine international incident, broke out over a border and license plates. If you like our videos and want more, be sure to subscribe, because 64% of you haven't yet. Anyway, we'd really appreciate it, and thanks so much. While tensions may have been gradually improving since 2008, Serbia and Kosovo still don't recognise each other as legitimate countries. As part of this, Serbia has, ever since 2008, required Kosovo drivers entering Serbia to hide or replace their licence plates, as they see it as a form of recognition of Kosovo. So, recently, Kosovo has implemented similar rules for Serbs entering Kosovo, again requiring them to hide their number plates and buy a temporary one that costs €5 and remains valid for 60 days. The reason Kosovo implemented such rules was for reciprocity, in effect, a tit-for-tat move. Many Serbs saw this as humiliating though, and some ethnic Serbs living in Kosovo staged protests against the Kosovo government for enacting such a rule, with the roads connecting Kosovo and Serbia blocked by protesters for 4 days running. In addition to these road blockages, a car registration building was attacked in Kosovo, alongside an interior ministry building. To try and enforce the rule and to rein in protesters, Kosovo sent armoured vehicles and police wearing riot gear to the border. And things get worse too, because the Serbian media has reported that protesters have been beaten by the Kosovo police, alleging that they used brutal force. The Serbian government has also supposedly been flying jets over the Kosovo-Serbia border in military manoeuvres. This, alongside the accusations of brutal force being used by Kosovo police, mass protests, attacks on government buildings, and heavily armed police officers in an already tense region, well, you can see why the international community wanted something to be done. The UN peacekeeping force that was already in the region has claimed that it's closely monitoring the situation, and that it has increased the number and duration of routine patrols Kosovo-wide. Clearly, tensions are incredibly high in relation to this license plate related move by Kosovo lately. However, it would be disingenuous to claim that this was a frivolous dispute. Tensions between Kosovo and Serbia have been high for decades, and both sides feel that the other is incorrect when it comes to the status of their respective countries. This dispute is just the form that this tension has manifested itself in most recently. At the end of the day, license plates are used to identify a vehicle and are registered and determined by an official authority of a country. If you don't recognise a country, then you obviously don't recognise the official authority that registered the license plate. And therefore you could use the argument as a proxy for the wider debate about sovereignty and borders. This is in reality what the dispute appears to be over. So, while tensions have generally been decreasing between the two sides in recent years, this appears to be an inflammation of tensions between the two groups, who are not yet prepared to set aside their differences. Now, good news has emerged in the last 24 hours. After the Prime Minister of Kosovo made an offer to drop the rules on licence plates, and after encouragement from international groups, including the EU, NATO and US, real progress has been made. That's because the EU helped to negotiate a deal which sees Kosovar police removed from the border and replaced by NATO troops, as well as both countries placing stickers on their licence plates to remove national symbols. This sort of compromise allows free movement of citizens once again, with the EU's negotiator praising the solution on Twitter. However, Serbia's president didn't see things quite as optimistically, insisting that their long-term solutions to this issue wouldn't include recognising Kosovo, which will invariably lead to ongoing border disputes in the future, ones that Serbia will be willing to fight to defend what they see as their land. It's hard to say right now what will happen next between these two going forward, but make sure you subscribe to TLDR EU to catch all of the latest developments from across Europe. You can also find more from us on the TLDR EU Instagram and Twitter, where we're posting regular updates on stories like this. It's at TLDR EU and it's linked down below, so thanks for your support. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible, and if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can back us on Patreon. The link to that is in the description.